Hello and welcome back to the New Dig Norfolk Gardener. Now, we have harvested the crops that were in here, and this was the New Dig and Dig trial. And what I've done now is I've turned the piece that was dug at the back end of last year, I've now turned that back into New Dig by putting some compost on top. And here where it was New Dig, all we've done is harvested our plants, and as you saw me doing, just taking the few weeds that were there out. It's been leveled, roughly leveled over, and we're ready to plant again. Now, I was asked a question by one of our viewers that came in via the comments section about succession planting, and is it actually okay to plant the same family of plants where you've just harvested that same family? I guess if you ask traditional gardeners, they'll probably say no, put them somewhere else. But for us here on our New Dig plot, we don't see any problem in keeping the same family of plants in the same bed for the whole season. But what I wouldn't do, I wouldn't really want to plant, in this case brassicas, back into here next season. So this bed will get a rest from brassicas. And as you've probably seen over the videos that we've done over the last year or so, I don't tend to always grow the same thing in every bed. It is quite a bit of a mixed mash. We've got potatoes and brassicas in this bed. We've got onions and celeriac, and we had spinach up in the top bed. So, you know, there is a mixture of things. So although these beds are 12 feet by 14 feet, I actually think of them as 3 lots of 3-foot beds. So in that way, if you've got a much smaller garden, if you grew brassicas in this strip here, it'd be okay to grow them in this strip here the following season. And then grow something else where you grew the brassicas in this strip. And that would be a way of being able to condense down your crop rotation. Whereas if you planted the whole bed with the same vegetable, this whole bed ideally wouldn't want to be used. So, as I say, getting back to the question I was asked, yeah, I see absolutely no problem in planting brassicas back in here, which will be the overwintering ones that will be ready for us next year and the latter part of this year. That'll be fine, but what I won't do is plant brassicas anywhere in here next season so that it gets a break. And a lot of people talk about 4-year crop rotation, 3-year crop rotation. Myself and Mrs. W for the last few years have been growing things where we want. We have tried to keep in mind crop rotation, but in the main, nothing in this garden really goes any more than 2 years before it might see that family of crops back in the ground again. And it seems to have worked. As you've seen our videos, everything looks good and healthy. You know, if you were to ask me, I do think that keeping the soil good and healthy in the way that we do with using the New Dig method, I do think that helps. But that's the way we've been doing it for the last couple of years or so, and it certainly worked perfectly well for us. What I'm not saying is I'm the absolute expert, and we'll see as the years go on whether we see any ill effects from what we're doing. But as I say, for now, everything seems to be okay. Now that we've got the land prepared, what I want to do is get things planted. I've dibbed the holes so that I know exactly where the plants are going to go. And we shall pop the plants in. Now, I shan't film that. You've seen me put plants in many a times. You know exactly how I do it. So I'm just going to get on with this, and then we shall come back to you. Now, as you can see, we have planted out the brassicas. We have 2 rows of cauliflower in here, and we have a row of Calabrese just in here, which this Calabrese will be ready for us to harvest, I would guesstimate sometime in October. That's my plans. And then we have cauliflower snow march. That there's a clue in the title, sometime around March that will bring its harvest. And then Aalsmeer, this will grow for a really long time, and this should begin its harvest the following month in April and into May, which is when the hungry gap comes. And as you know, if you watched our video earlier when we sowed these seeds, that's our plan, to try and make sure that we have a fresh vegetable to harvest every month of the year. So I hope we can do that. That's our plan. But if you want to know if we have managed to do that, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below there, and then you'll be notified whenever we upload a video. And you can follow our journey and see whether we actually managed to bring these to harvest and to actually have a fresh vegetable to harvest every month of the year. As you can see, Mrs. W drops the camera a bit. Our preferred method is to plant our plants nice and deeply, right up to the first seed leaves that appear. And although they look a little bit sorry for themselves at the moment, they will pick themselves up. They have had a good drink of water, and probably in a couple of weeks' time, once they've just got themselves established, we'll give them a really good water. And when you do plant brassicas at this time of the year, you don't have to worry about them going to seed now, because it'll be June and July next year when they think about wanting to rise and flower to seed. But what you do need to keep an eye on is the watering. It's really hot here in Norfolk at the moment, and we're set for certainly the next 7 to 10 days. Absolutely no rain in the forecast whatsoever, and these plants are really small, you know, they're just babies. So we don't want to lose them because they go thirsty. So we shall keep on top of the watering with this, and I'll advise you, if you're following us and doing exactly the same, to keep them well watered. There are certain times when you want to be giving water, there are other times when you don't. So for argument's sake, these Savoy King cabbages here, they don't need any more watering. They are actually ready for their harvest. We're just eating them as and when we need them. And what we got, 1, 2, 3, so we've got 4 more to eat, but they don't actually need watering now. It's a waste of time giving them water. They're of a good size. Unless of course you start to see them going yellow, and you know, they really are starting to suffer with the heat. But their roots will be deep enough now to collect the water. And you can probably see there's a white cabbage butterfly dancing around here. And yeah, that's the next job that we need to do, is to now cover all of these. Some people give them a spray with certain things, and that can help in the fight against the cabbage white butterfly and means you can keep them uncovered. But for me personally, I don't really like to put anything on any of my vegetables. I just like them to grow just as they should do in the ground. So for me, this is what we do. You get hoops in the ground and they will be covered. Fairly easy to take the covers off as and when you want to harvest, or as they're growing when you want to weed. You can see we leave a pathway, an 18-inch pathway between each growing strip, so that we can just walk down there, take the stones, or in this case the bricks up, lift the cover off and do whatever maintenance or harvesting that we need to do. And we learned through bitter experience many years ago when we first started to grow, we thought, oh, this is lovely, all the plants are growing really well. We went away off on holiday and we came back, and the sprouts that we'd popped into the ground, honestly, they looked like skeletons. Could never recover, and we never got any sprouts that year. Ever since then, we've always taken care to keep everything covered so that those white butterflies cannot get on there and lay their eggs. And if you do see a white butterfly that has actually managed to break your defences, then I would advise you pretty quickly to get underneath your netting, have a look at the plants, have a look under the leaves. They usually like to lay them under the leaves if they can. I can't show you what the eggs look like because we don't have any on here, but yeah, they do like to lay them in there. And actually, if the plants are more advanced, they'll often put them right down into the very heart, so they've got plenty of leaf to crawl up and then eat. And all you need to do is squash them between your finger and thumb, and that will obviously destroy the eggs, and then the caterpillars can't then hatch and eat your brassicas. If you find yourself being a bit too late and you see those caterpillars, they're already there. Clearly you need to get under there, remove the caterpillars and do them as you wish, but what you don't want is them on your brassicas. I know we've done a lot on succession sowing and succession planting, but I have had many comments and questions within those comments about how we go about it, the things that we do, so that's why we've made 1 or 2 videos on the subject. And hopefully you've been able to take something from it. If you did like this video, please give us a thumbs up. Really nice to see those thumbs up. And yeah, leave your comments down below. Let us know what you're doing. What have you sown? What are you going to be planting into the ground? Are you doing the same as us and trying to get a vegetable to harvest every month of the year? If you are, let us know how you're getting on. It's really great to hear your comments. And we shall see you on the next video.